Καλησπέρα σας. Good evening to everyone, and welcome to today's event on Greek citizenship and on postal vote. Before I begin, I would like to thank the very hospitable parish of St. Constantine and Helen and Father Chris for having us here and facilitating this meeting. And I would also like to thank the Hellenic Bar Association, President Mr. Makis and the Order of Themis, Judge Anna Dimakopoulos and Judge Peggy Yampas, for joining forces in order to make this evening possible. Today we're going to join forces with attorney Mrs. Sofou, and we will try to provide information to raise your awareness about an issue that I know is of great interest. And I know because I'm heading the Citizenship Department for the last 2 years, and we're covering 12 states in the Midwest, and I have to tell you that the department that works harder at the consulate right now is the Citizenship Department, and for many good reasons. So for us it's very important, apart from welcoming you at the consulate every day and discussing with you your individual cases, it's important that we step out from the consulate and we make the effort to meet you and to discuss with you, to try to share information and raise your awareness, and in a way to bring you closer to Greece. From our work with us every day, we have identified that there is a gap of information about the processes in Greece that creates a lot of confusion and a lot of misunderstandings, and you will understand exactly what I mean. So I'd like to ask those of you who are registered Greek citizens to raise your hands. We have a few. So I would also like to ask those of you who want to become Greek citizens to raise your hands. Exactly. And now, among you who believes that this process is very hard, is very expensive, is very bureaucratic, and it's almost impossible. So that's exactly the reason I'm here, to prove you wrong, to provide you with all the information in order to understand the idea, to understand the Greek legal system. Why? Because it differs from the US system, and that is the beginning of all the confusion. So I will also have, I have a presentation, and this is the most important slide. I will try to be brief, I will try to explain everything in a simple way, but if at the end of my presentation you don't understand anything, that's all you need to know. What is this? This is our contact email. I have done this presentation in the past in different parishes and also in different states. So far from the 8 states that we cover, we have been to 8 of them, and we have always reached out and meet the members of the Greek American community. And I always count the success of today's meeting by the number of emails that I will be receiving tonight or tomorrow or in the coming days from all of you. So I would like to encourage you to reach out to us and ask the questions. And we have received a few questions before the meeting and have gone through it, and the best one is, I don't know where to start. I have no idea, and a lot of the times the email that we receive at the consulate is exactly this sentence. I want to be a citizen, I don't know where to start, please inform us. Okay, now. Okay, so like a few introductory comments about what is citizenship. I don't want to bore you, but this is very important, this is fundamental as a starting point. So a lot of people, everyone, when they come at the consulate, we ask them, are you Greek? And of course the answer is, of course. But there's a slight difference between ethnicity and citizenship. So citizenship is a legal term, and it refers to the relationship between an individual and a certain state. It's different from ethnicity in a way that ethnicity is mostly a political notion, meaning the relationship with an individual, with a culture, with values of a country, but it does not necessarily mean that there is also a legal bond, a legal connection between a state and a citizen. So a person acquires the Greek citizenship at the time of birth if the said person is born to a parent of Greek nationality, that is an offspring of a Greek citizen, even if the parent has not exercised his or her right to the citizenship. And I would like to ask for your attention here because there is a fundamental difference between the Greek legal system and the US system. So in the United States, the law that governs citizenship is jus solis in Latin. It's the law of the soil. That means any person who is born in the United States automatically receives the US citizenship, and that is, let's say, the example of my daughter who was born from two Greek citizens' parents in New York, and for that reason she is a US citizen. Whereas in Greece, the legal framework is that of jus sanguinis, the law of the blood. So a person who is born in Greece does not qualify for the Greek citizenship if he has no ancestor, no bloodline from Greece. So it's very important because the first thing we do when we discuss about Greek citizenship is to actually look back and ask who was your last ancestor that was a Greek citizen. So the citizenship is a legal bond that entails rights and obligations. And this brings me to a very important point because a lot of you reach out to us and they require the Greek passport. So it's important to understand that the notion of citizenship is wider than the notion of passport. The citizenship, as I mentioned, is a legal bond. It's not only a traveling document. And why do I say that? Because as a right and as a bond, as a legal connection, it entails certain rights and certain responsibilities. And you will understand why I make the reference to responsibilities, because this is the key in order to give the citizenship to the next generations, which is very important. So that's the legal framework. I will not go into details. It's the law of 1976. 344, it has been amended numerous times. It's available online if you want to look at it. I'm just putting it out there. And this brings us to the million-dollar question: who is a registered Greek citizen? You will be surprised, and I myself am surprised to see that a lot of people are Greek citizens and didn't know throughout their life. That a lot of people moved from Greece to the United States and they thought they lost the Greek citizenship, which is not the case in most of the times. So it's important to clarify and to see who is a Greek citizen. So there is a magic document that I will show you in a while that is, as I like to mention it, your first step towards your journey to the Greek citizenship. That's the document, that's the starting point. In every case that we examine, that's the document that we are asking for you, from you or your ancestors or your family. This is called το Πιστοποιητικό Οικογενειακής Κατάστασης στα ελληνικά, Family Status Certificate in English. It is issued where? It's issued by your municipality, your family's municipality. It's issued only in Greek, because Greek is the only official language of the country. It is the so-called Mερίδα. Some of you might have heard of it. I don't really know what that means. Et voilà, that's how it looks like. A lot of people, when we ask, we sometimes, in order to explain to you and to make you understand what we mean, we ask you for your family tree, and some citizens actually draw their family tree, but this is not what we're looking for. Exactly, this is the document that will guide you as to what has been accomplished so far and what remains to be accomplished in order for you and for, most importantly, the next generations after you to exercise your right to Greek citizenship. So this is a closer look, and I'm not sure if it's visible. The type of registration is crucial. Not everyone that appears on a similar document, on a Πιστοποιητικό Οικογενειακής Κατάστασης, is a Greek citizen. citizen. Only people who have a normal, a standard, κανονική εγγραφή, a normal registration are registered Greek citizens that have the rights and the obligations of Greek citizens. So, let's say that you go back to your municipality or to your records tonight or tomorrow morning, or you discuss with your father or your mother, and you manage to find your family status certificate and you actually see yourself in it. What should you do? Should you do anything at all? What does that mean? What does that mean for you and for your children? And that brings me to the very, very important point of the citizen's obligation. And that is to inform the Greek state about all your family status changes. What does that mean? I am a registered Greek citizen. I am obliged by law to inform the Greek state that I got married, that I have children, that I have a divorce, that I changed my name, that I remarried, and then when the time comes for my death to be registered, the Greek state should know that this citizen is no longer living in order to be deleted from his family tree, from his family status certificate, and from the national registry. Okay, so if you find yourself in a standard registration, you are a Greek citizen, you can issue a Greek passport, which some of you might know that it's among the most powerful passports globally. It's ranked in the last 3 years, I think, one position after the US passport. And as I said, all the vital life facts of a Greek citizens should be duly registered in their municipality. And as a Greek citizen is not only a citizen of the country, but is a citizen of a specific municipality. So that brings me to the point that I mentioned earlier. When you're a Greek citizen or you want to become a Greek citizen, you have to look back. Why am I a Greek citizen today? Because my parents registered their marriage, they created their family tree, they created their Merida, and when I was born, they registered me. That's exactly what I did. As soon as I got married, I registered my marriage, and then I registered the birth of my children. And that is very important because, as I say, the law on citizenship in Greece is the law of blood. And imagine it as a chain of events that should not be broken. If I miss the step of registering my children, the children of my children cannot exercise their citizenship in the easy way. Your question maybe is, what if a chain is broken? And believe me, we deal with a lot of cases every day at the consulate where the chain is broken. Are there ways to fix it? Yes. But you don't want, you want to follow the simple process, you want to follow the process which is smooth, it's straightforward, and it will bring you and the next generation easily to the Greek citizenship. So, where do you register? Okay, I just said that I got married and I have to register my marriage. Where do I register my marriage? Your attention, please, you register your marriage locally. And I will use the example of myself again. I got married in Nafplio. I registered my marriage in Nafplio. My first daughter was born in New York. I registered her birth at our consulate in New York. My second daughter was born in Paleo Faliro. We visited the municipality of Paleo Faliro and we registered her birth there. So remember that locally. So you will see here what are the states of our jurisdiction of the Consulate General of Greece in Chicago. There are 12. These are the states. What does that mean? We only have the right to register marriages, births, and deaths that have taken place in Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, North and South Dakota, Nebraska, Ohio, and Wisconsin. I am sure that some of you are already thinking, I got married in New York, I got married in Florida, where do I go? You have to go online to contact the competent consulate. If you were married in Florida, it falls under the competence of our consulate in Tampa. They are the ones who will examine your case, they will guide you further, and they will provide you with your options in case you have a difficulty traveling there, you or your relatives. So what is the process? That's also very important. That's why I gave you our contact details. If you go to our website, you will see that we have 6 departments, and the citizen is free to book his or her appointment at his convenience, with one exception, the registry department. Why is that? Because we don't want to bring you multiple times at the consulate. Most of the cases require examination. We require all the documents electronically in advance, and I will explain to you why. We have people flying from North Dakota, staying overnight in Chicago, taking time off, spending money, buying a flight to Chicago, and most of the time when they contact us, they're like, I have everything, I have all you need. And they come to the consulate and they don't. And that means more work for us. But we take the time to prepare all the cases in advance, and only when a case is ready to proceed, it's ready to be finalized, be it a marriage or a birth or a death, do we book your appointment at the registry department. And just to give you an idea of how much interest there is right now at the Citizenship Department, I just went online on our appointment system today before I came here. So in case you want to book your appointment to issue your passport, if you're already a Greek citizen, you can come in 2 days. If you want a power of attorney, you will have to come next week. If you want to register your marriage or your birth or a death in your family, the next available date is Tuesday, April 23rd at 1:30. So it's very important that you keep that in mind. And some of you might be wondering why. And I made the effort to look back at our consular books from the 1990s, from the 1980s, and I was really amazed to see that in a calendar year we registered 10 marriages. We registered 7 deaths. And right now we are registering all these events that we should have registered in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 70s. We had last week a person who was 95 years old, and he visited the consulate to register his marriage. And he was amazed that he was single all this time in Greece. So, you contact us. If you have no idea where to start, if you have no document at your disposal, it's okay. You just send us a request that you want to become a Greek citizen. How do I start? And then we will ask you for a list of documents. Indeed, in a lot of cases, the citizen is not able to provide these documents because you have never been back to Greece, you have not contacted your municipality. We can assist you in reaching out to your municipality. I have to convey a very positive message from our communication with the municipalities. They're very responsive, they reply to our emails. I usually send them an email because of the time difference in the evening, and then on the next day I have the answer. So don't worry, we do have the tools, and sometimes we call the municipalities as well. And then we review the documents and we book your appointment. As I said, why do we make all this preparation? Because it's quicker, it's safer, and it's more efficient, mainly for the citizen, but also for our workflow. I will just briefly go through these documents. I don't want to tire you. You don't have to know what you need to do. It's our job to guide you through the processes and to require the documents. These are roughly the documents that you need. I will just make a brief reference to what the apostille is. A lot of citizens call it apostoli, and I find it amazing. That's how I call it as well now. So the apostille, there is a convention between the two countries, between the United States of America and Greece, and in order for any American documents to be submitted to a Greek official authority, they have to be certified for their authenticity. So that is the way that we know that your marriage certificate is authentic, it's original, and can be submitted in Greece. So in case we are registering your marriage, we need to have your marriage certificate with the apostille, which will remain at our offices. The church certificate, in case you have performed the church marriage. And I have to clarify here that a lot of people think just because they were married in a Greek Orthodox church, somehow the church notified the Greek state. They don't. So I know that you're receiving a lot of pressure. A lot of people don't even ask, they consider it a given, but the Greek Orthodox Church is an American institution, and it is the citizens' obligation to come to the consulate, to go to the municipality to register. And then we need the family status certificate, as I say. It's very important, if you remember only one thing, is remember this document, your Μερίδα, your family tree, Πιστοποιητικό Οικογενειακής Κατάστασης. Valid passport, of course. Can someone come to the consulate without a valid passport to register? The answer is no. We need valid passport, either Greek, American, Canadian, whatever you might have, or a recent Greek ID. And driver's license. And that brings me to my next comment. Over the years, we have citizens coming at the consulate, and they have this perception that all the processes are super expensive in Greece. So right now, it will cost you tomorrow $11 to come to the consulate and register your marriage, $11 to register a death of a relative, of a Greek citizen, and $11 to register the birth of a minor, and for an adult is around $50 roughly. When is the registration completed? I'm very, very glad because today I'm here and I'm presenting you a lot of positive developments on the part of the Greek state. Right after COVID, a lot of our processes have been digitalized, a lot of costs have been cut, the processing time has diminished, and I have seen citizens being made overnight. Coming to the consulate on Monday, and on Tuesday, the registration is completed in Greece. So now is the time to make use of all the processes, for the easy processes that are in place for you. And then this is the birth registration, and your attention here, the birth, by registering your birth, you become a Greek citizen, okay? That is the process that we register another Greek citizen at the National Registry of Greece, by registering the birth. Normally, this is a process that should be performed when the child is a minor. So when I had my daughter, I did it on the 3rd day of her life. Of course, at the consulate, we register births of people who are 70 or 60 or 50. There is a provision in the law that gives the Greek citizen a time frame of 40 days to register an event. But in a lot of cases, every day at our consulate, 40 years have passed, not only 40 days, but the process is still there, okay? Birth registration, as I said, very important. Who can register the birth? So it is the Greek citizen parent for people who are minors. We receive a lot of requests from Greek mothers who want to come to the consulate and register their children who are 30 or 50. This is not possible. So an adult should present himself or herself at the consulate to perform their registration. So in case physical presence is required, because I want you to all understand that this is the process by which you are granted the Greek citizenship, by which you establish a legal bond with the Greek state. So what if someone cannot physically be present at the consulate? There are ways, there are power of attorneys. Someone can visit the consulate on the behalf of the applicant and perform the registration. Death registration, a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people pass here in the United States, and in Greece they appear to be living. That's very, very important, not only for matters of citizenship, but also for property issues. The death registration of a Greek citizen is obligatory in the Greek state. At some point, the Greek state needs to be informed that this citizen is no longer living. Again, as you see, that the certificate with the apostille, the family status certificates, and the valid passport of the person who declares the death. The death registration, it's $11, and as soon as this is submitted, your municipality, this is done electronically, the entire thing, all the processes are initiated at the consulate and are completed in Greece. That's very important. A lot of people are asking us, now am I a Greek citizen, can I right away apply for the Greek passport? Our reply is be a little more patient, because this process should be finalized in Greece This is the second most important slide because 6 out of 10 cases have name discrepancies. We also have date of birth discrepancies that should be amended for identification purposes. The names is a very important issue. When there's a discrepancy, we will examine the documents and we will guide you. Usually we require proof, we require documentation that is showing that this person, Georgia Tasiopoulou, has changed her name to Georgia Tasios. We need to have that recorded. And in a lot of cases, this is a very hard task for you because you have to go back one generation to find your father's naturalization or your mother's naturalization. Even if you don't have them, they can be reissued. So in a lot of cases, citizens are able to find out how the name changed. And also bear in mind that we at the consulate are obliged by the law to register citizens, the children of Greek citizens, with exactly the same surname. We are not allowed to change the name in any way. So if you have a name change here in the United States, most probably it's done through a court decision and it has to follow the path of the courts in Greece. This is a process that is performed entirely in Greece. In Greece, it's a typical process. It's pretty much the naturalization certificate which has to go through the Greek courts and be validated from the Greek courts. This is a thing that, unfortunately, you cannot perform at the consulate. So that was roughly it. I am completing my presentation, with our our email address, and you will allow me to conclude my presentation with a comment, because I'm not a municipal officer, I'm not, just a civil servant. I am a Greek diplomat. That means that I represent my country, and to give you a tip, if you send an email tonight, or if you send an email tomorrow in the coming days, there's an 80% chance that I will reply. So, I would like to kindly ask you not to use the term European passport. That deeply hurts my feelings. And I will explain to you why, because I said earlier that the Greek citizenship is something deeper. It's something more than a Greek traveling document. And we want you to be knowledgeable Greek citizen. We want you to be conscious Greek citizen. We want you to become Greeks because you love Greece, because you want to reconnect with your country, and if I may say, for all the right reasons. Please do not mention that you want to become Greek because you have some property issues to settle, or because you want to pay the taxes as a Greek citizen and not as a EU citizen, because it really, really hurts my feelings. And I have to tell you that I love my job and I really enjoy talking to citizens. And we have citizens coming at the consulate and bringing cookies. And we have citizens who are really thankful. And, in our face and in our communication with them, they see Greece. And I have to tell you from my experience, I don't know, maybe I reply to 150 mails a day because we receive approximately 50 new cases every day. We cover 12 US states. So all the requests that I receive, they fall under 2 categories. And I will not comment on them, I will just give you an example. I will give you an example of 2 cases that have contacted us. It was last month, so there was a girl in her 30s and she emailed us, "Good morning, I would like to receive the European passport as soon as possible." That's the first approach, which is my least favorite. And we have another request from Nick, who is in his 60s, and he became Greek like 2 months ago, and now we're registering his marriage and his kids. And he texted me, "Mrs. Tasiopoulou, I'm very grateful for your help. I'm sure that right now that I'm a Greek citizen, my father looks down on me from heaven with a tear in his eyes, because I also became Greek citizen and I will be able to give that privilege to my children." So with that, I would like to thank you very much for your attention. We do have some questions with regards to other departments, like the power of attorney, you will be able to find most information on our website. But again, you are encouraged prior to your appointment to contact us per email. All the emails are sent to the general contact email of the consul, and they're distributed to the different sections, and they're answered, and our colleagues will be able to guide you prior to your appointment. Yes, I always say that I will mention that before someone brings it up, but I forget all the time because I'm not a male. What about the army? We receive these questions from Greek mothers very, very often, and my reply is not no. When I have the Consul General with me who has served the army, he always says, no, you don't have. My answer is you can serve the army if you want to, because the army obligation is valid for all male Greek citizens from the age of 18 to the age of 45. Unless if they are permanent residents of Greece, that means if they reside in Greece for 6 months and a day. If a male Greek citizen has never been to Greece for more than 6 months, then there is a process that you will follow. It's called the military exemption, the deferment, and there is a department at the consulate, the military department, where all the processes are completed. A lot of male citizens become citizens after the age of 45. In that case, the army don't need you any longer. So there is a process in place, and most of you, I have seen the vast majority of new male Greek citizens who follow the process. It requires some paperwork. It does require paperwork, transcripts of records from your studies, from your school, in order to prove that you haven't lived in Greece for more than 6 months in the last 11 years. But yes, unless you want to spend some time in Greece serving the army. Do you have more questions?
Another prevalent one is, what if my parents have not registered their marriage, but I was born in Greece?
So in that case, we have to take the chain from the moment it stopped. In order to bring it forward. So if the marriage is not registered, all the events should be registered in the sequence they happen. And I will take the opportunity here. A lot of people would, reach out to us to register their second marriage. And they're like, why does the Greek state care about my first marriage? The Greek law is very simple, it's very straightforward, and it applies to everyone. Every single family status change. Divorce, first marriage, second marriage. And it's very important. Why? Because when we reach the point of a death declaration, we cannot proceed with the registration unless all the previous family status changes are recorded. We do have now a case of a Greek citizen who has passed. He has been married 3 times, and he appears to be single in Greece. So this responsibility falls to his family to do all the things, all the registration that this Greek citizen was not able to perform while he was living.
The other marriage issue is, I am a Greek citizen already. Can I register my marriage if it was only a civil marriage?
Yes, yes.
And it's the same process?
Yes.
Does the same process apply if you were married, if you were born in Greece, but your parents were married in Canada?
In that case, as I said, the registrations have to be done locally. If the marriage took place in Canada, you will have to reach out to our colleagues in Toronto, in Montreal, in Vancouver, wherever you can find the Greek consulate, and proceed with the registration here. And I would just like to make a brief mention to the citizenship applications. There are 3 processes in total to become Greek in Greece. There is the smooth way, the easy way through a birth registration, and there are 2 more processes for cases where the chain of events was broken. In that case, the citizenship application should be submitted not at the consulate where the applicant was born. So let's say if someone has to bridge the gap of decades of events that have not been registered, you don't register your birth, you submit your citizenship application at the consulate of your permanent residence. And that is the same if you follow the process through the grandparents. So if one generation skipped the citizenship, they're no longer living and the chain is broken, and you have to anchor yourself to your grandparents. Then, if you reside in one of the 12 states, please reach out to me. You will be working with me on your naturalization application.
If you are a citizen, or student rather, do you need a visa to study as a student in Greece?
No, if you're a citizen, you are free to live, work, study in Greece and also in the Schengen zone, in the European countries that are part of the Schengen zone. But I'm confident that this is not your only motivation to become a Greek citizen. And also as an American citizen, right now with your valid US passport, you're free to live, to travel and live in Greece for 90 days. Without visa requirement. This is subject to change, but right now...
And that includes for students?
For students, yes. For people who will have to study in Greece for more than 90 days, a visa is required.
So, second question on that same topic. You already have dual citizenship. You have both a U.S. passport and a Greek passport. You entered Greece on the U.S. passport. Do you need a visa to stay more than 90 days? And why does the Greek government ask you for your Greek passport when you're at the Telonio?
Yes.
You know, the Greek authorities, like the US authorities, although as much as they want to trust you, they need proof.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. This is for my question.
This is your question.
The customs asked me for U.S. stamp permanent resident of the United States on a Greek passport.
You are a Greek.
Which I used to have it before. I'm dual citizen.
If you are a dual citizen, you should be traveling with both your documents, and you should not have any problem. But also, we hear a lot of times at the consulate people traveling to Greece with their Greek passport and from Greece with the American passport. Carry both. That will make your life easier, and also the life of the authorities around you, because they have to verify if you have a dual citizenship or not, because if you're only an American citizen, you're not allowed to stay more than 90 days. So have both traveling documents with you, show them to the authorities, and you should have no problem.
All right, we've collected all the questions, and we're going to give the council an opportunity to view those questions she hasn't answered. We're going to allow Sofia Sofou to continue with the presentation. And then she will be answering, I think, a lot of the questions that have already been asked. So, Sofia, let me introduce you.
So, Consul Georgia Tasiopoulou talked about the process and required documentation about Greek citizenship. We will talk about the benefits of being a dual citizen. Before we proceed with benefits, let's answer these questions. Are you one of 1.4 million Greek Americans who has always known to have Greek heritage? Are you not thrilled with your current citizenship? Do you want to travel, to work, live, or invest in Europe? Do you want to educate your children in Europe? Or in general, do you want to have more options in your life? If yes, then get a second citizenship. So before we proceed with benefits, let's talk about facts. Greek law permits dual citizenship. Other countries that does not allow, like Austria, it doesn't allow Greek citizenship. And many Greek Americans, especially during COVID and after COVID, applied to Greek consulates in hope that can more easily travel to Greece in the future. We all know that Greek consul is overwhelmed and sometimes understaffed. So when you contact the consulate, please give them some time to answer your emails. They always answer, but they need some time. Let's see some more facts. Out of all European countries offering citizenship, Greece is perhaps the most desirable, and for retirement as well. And why is that? Because the process is more simple, and also the documentation is less. Moreover, Greece is a member of European Union, so if you are a Greek citizen, then you can live, work, study, and travel freely to those countries, to the countries of the Eurozone. Currently, Eurozone has 27 members. All those countries are part of the Eurozone. Greece is one of them. So now let's see about the benefits of being dual citizen. This is a busy slide. I'm going to talk one by one for the benefits of Greek citizenship. Greek passport is one of the strongest passports in the world, as the Consul mentioned. So according to the Helen Passport Index, the Greek passport is the 5th most powerful passport. Helen Passport Index rates each nation's passport according to the number of countries you can visit without any permit or visa. So with Greek passport, you can travel to 190 countries without visa or any other permit. Here is the list. So you see Greek passport is in 5th place, and you can visit 190 countries. The USA passport ranks in 7th place, and you can visit 188 countries with no visa. So one benefit, very important, is visa-free travel. With the US passport until now, you can enter the EU, the Eurozone, with no visa, but from next year, after 2025, you will need a visa in order to enter the Eurozone. If you have a Greek passport, you can travel, work, live, study, and invest in any country of the 27 countries in Eurozone freely, with no restrictions. Also, you have full working and residential rights. So European employers look for bilingual professionals with experience in international settings, but they prefer also to work with dual citizens just to avoid the bureaucracy of visas and permits. So always dual citizens, they have an advantage in comparison with other workers. Establish business in Greece or in the European Union. So you have the right, if you have a Greek passport, you have the right to establish your own business in Greece. Or to expand your investment in Eurozone. Also, you have the right to own property to any country of the Eurozone without any permit. Speaking of investments in Greece, I would like to mention two recent examples of major investment in Greece. First one is Microsoft. Microsoft was agreed with the Greek government to invest $1 billion in Greece and to build 3 data centers in the area of Eleftherios Venizelos Airport and Sparta. And also, it was agreed to educate new well-paying high-tech jobs and training over 40,000 employers in the public and private sector. This is very important for the Greek government because it's very important for the digital transformation of the Greek economy. Also, I would like to mention that the data centers are the first centers in the southern Eastern Europe. One more major investment is from Casco. So China agreed with the Greek government to invest 600 million euros for the Piraeus port. Casco currently is the 64% owner of Piraeus port, and Piraeus port is the largest port in Western Europe and the 7th largest port in Europe, so it's the main entrance for a Chinese product from China to Europe. Also, there's a revenue of 5.1 billion euros for the Greek government, and it creates 125,000 jobs for Greek workers. The agreement ends in 2052. One more advantage, very important, is the high level of education. So dual citizens have the right to have the opportunity to study in reputable universities in famous cities, with affordable tuitions, with high quality of life, in a safe environment, and also students have the right to participate in Erasmus program. Erasmus program is an exchange student program, and students have the opportunity to experience different educational systems in different countries. One more thing I would like to mention here is that recently Greek government unveiled a new law that allows the operation of private universities in Greece. This law was put on public consultation. Currently, there are at around 40,000 students, Greek students, that they study abroad, mainly in Cyprus. The criteria for the foundation of private university are very strict, and students must reach a minimum national exams or to hold a bachelor's degree in order to be able to participate, to apply in these private universities. Talking about Greek universities and graduates, I would like to mention that many thousands of graduates from Greek universities chose to continue their career in the US or in Europe. I would like to mention two of them that they made an impact in humanity. One is Alberta Bourla. He graduated from Aristotelio Panepistimion of Thessaloniki, and now he is the CEO of Pfizer. And the other one is the Constantinos Daskalakis. He is a professor in MIT. He graduated from National Technical University of Athens, and also he is the head director of EVI in Athens. One more advantage is the access to national healthcare system. Under the EU laws, EU citizens benefit from reciprocal healthcare when they are in any of the Eurozone countries. These rights also apply in case you are temporarily in one of those Eurozone countries, example for holidays or you study abroad. Very important benefit, the good quality of life, the affordable living. According to the Eurostat, price levels in Greece are 12% below the EU average and 10 to 20% lower than in the US. That includes the rent, the public transportation, the restaurants, the food. Also, the healthy diet, the Mediterranean diet that all doctors suggest. The good weather all year round. And as we all know, we are very hospitable people, and now we speak English, so the language is not a barrier anymore. One more thing I would like to mention, it's the Golden Visa program. It's a very successful program from the Greek government. It started in 2013, and it also allows you to claim Greek citizenship. So it's an investment program. You need to purchase real estate property for a minimum of 250,000 euros, or to invest the minimum €500,000 in government funds or capital shares. This way you receive a visa for at least 5 years. It's a very attractive program because the threshold of the investment option are lower than in the most Eurozone countries. And this visa, it also covers the whole family, so the spouse and the children. With this visa, you enjoy visa-free travels to the Eurozone. Also, you can rent out the property in case you don't use it after you buy it. You can live and invest in Greece, and also you have access to Greek education and the healthcare system. As I told you before, the visa is good for 5 years. You can renew this visa for 5 more years in case you maintain the property and you pay the property tax. If you stay in Greece, if you live in Greece for 7 years continuously, then you are eligible also to claim Greek citizenship. So if you buy something, if you buy property in Greece for 250,000 euros and you stay in Greece for 7 years continuously, then you have the right to claim Greek citizenship. Very important benefit that it's very important to us that we travel in Greece often. fast tracking through customs. So if you have the Greek passport, then you just scan your passport and you don't go through custom check, and you're ready for your next flight, no stress, you just relax. And you know, the most important of all benefits, you connect with your Greek roots, you connect with your ancestors, you discover more information about yourself, your identity, your origin, your tradition, your history. And this is very important also for your personality. So after all this discussion, what do you think is the next big thing? Is the artificial intelligence? Is the virtual reality? Is the ridiculous fast satellite internet? The big next thing is the new Greek American status symbol, the Greek passport. This is the next big thing. And here we see Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson, who recently became Greek citizens. So why not you? You can enjoy the same rights as they enjoy the same rights. And as Socrates said, I'm not a Greek or Athenian, I'm a citizen of the world. So if you are the Greek passport holder, then you become citizen of the world.
Any more questions? Complicated ones, okay?
I got two more.
All right. If I was baptized in the Greek church, does that mean I'm a registered Greek citizen?
No.
Can a child of only one Greek parent obtain dual citizenship?
Yes.
If I have not registered my marriage, how do I register my kids?
You have to first register your marriage, and then you will register your kids.
And can the marriage be registered? Where should the marriage be registered?
Locally, where it took place. If you got married in Italy, you have to reach out to our embassy in Italy. If you got married in Florida, you reach out to our colleagues in Tampa and so on and so forth. And that is not only applicable abroad, but also in Greece. If you got married in Thessaloniki, you have to reach out to the municipality in Thessaloniki. If your kids were born in Crete, and so on and so forth. That's very important.
If I have registered my marriage, how do I register my adult children that were born in the United States?
The adult children will have to reach out to the consulate where they were born and submit their documents and book their appointment in order to visit the consulate and register their births.
Does getting your Greek citizenship cause any complications with your current U.S. passport?
No. Both countries allow dual citizenship. There are some exemptions with some officers that are working in the armed forces in the United States, and in a lot of cases people come to the consulate to unfortunately denounce their Greek citizenship for some positions of responsibility and access to classified documents in the United States. Only the US citizenship is allowed.
If you were born in Greece and became a U.S. citizen, are you still a citizen of Greece?
80% yes. I have seen cases at the consulate where people, after a lot of decades, have lost their Greek citizenship, but in 80% of the cases, you don't lose the Greek citizenship unless you denounce it. There is a legal process to denounce your Greek citizenship.
There's also a legal process to denounce your American citizenship, which we're not going to talk about today.
But also, if you denounce the Greek citizenship, there is a process to re-establish your Greek citizenship for people who change their minds.
What is required of a U.S. citizen who is a spouse of a Greek citizenship to obtain Greek citizenship?
Very good question. So as I said, in Greece, you become Greek through your family. You have to go back to your family, to your ancestors who were Greek. As a spouse of a Greek citizen, you can only acquire Greek citizenship if you have permanent residence in Greece for 3 consecutive years if you have children, and for 7 consecutive years if you don't have children. So that's a good reason to move back to Greece if you want to obtain citizenship as a spouse of a Greek citizen. But American citizens who are married to Greek citizens and their marriage is duly registered and they appear in their Mερίδα, they can issue a permanent residence permit in Greece in order to reside with their Greek citizen spouse and their Greek citizen children as much as they want. So that is the alternative for people who are American, they are not of Greek descent, if they cannot proceed with their citizenship through their spouse.
Is the process more difficult to achieve if one is a second generation Greek American?
It depends. So in order to become a Greek citizen, you need at least one Greek citizen ancestor. That could be father, mother, grandfather, great-grandmother, great-grandfather. So I am not able to answer this question for all cases. Every case is examined individually.
Okay. I know that this is very, very common, this next question, because I used to do name changes when I was on the bench. How do you resolve name change issues from the marriage certificate if the first name is American, but the Greek name is on the Greek ID? In other words, your Greek ID says Katerina, and your American birth certificate says Kathy.
We require documents, as I said previously, name changes, official legal documents that show the name change, be it naturalization certificates or court orders. Or in the case of a dual citizen, we do require 2 valid official documents with a recent photo with the 2 versions of the name. That is, if we have a valid US passport that says Kathy and a valid Greek passport that says Katerina, we can do taftopροσωπία. We can identify that Mrs. Kathy is the same person as a Katerini. So that does not apply to all cases. The name change issue is a very sensitive one. It takes up 50% of the work at the consulate because unfortunately they're very common and a lot of the times there is lack of documents. So this is a general answer, but again, each case has its own specificity.
That is the one time I will say that it's case specific, okay? Every single case is specific because the consulate sometimes will recognize a common translation. Constantino goes by Dino, and goes by Gus, goes by Khan. So sometimes they will recognize it, sometimes they won't, so it's best to just contact the consulate. Can I register my marriage and my divorce at the same time?
Unfortunately not. The marriages fall under the competence of the consulate and can be registered locally. The divorces are court decisions, and we don't have jurisdiction to deal with court decision. And that applies to the relationship between the 2 countries. So every court decision in the United States, in order to be used in Greece, it has to typically pass through the Greek courts in order to be recognized. This is a typical process. Most of the time, the physical presence of the applicant is not required. Again, it's a typical process. It lasts a few months, but this is a process that is entirely completed in Greece.
My parents live in Greece. I was born in Maryland. Do I have to travel to Maryland to register?
Yes, but before you do that, because I know that in a lot of cases and with a lot of applicants who are unable, they're too old to travel, our advice is to reach out to our colleagues, in your case, at our consular office in Washington. They are the ones who should examine your case, examine your documents, and guide you further. In a lot of cases, we are facilitating the citizens through power of attorneys. Not very often, we're not very eager to do that, and I will explain to you why. Because we want the physical presence of the citizen. We want him or her to go through the document to check for possible mistakes. Why? Because if the registration is finalized, it's very hard most of the times to do corrections. So we want to minimize the mistakes. We want the applicant to be present in order to read, verify, and sign the registration.
I am adopted by 2 Greek citizens who have dual citizenship. I am looking to gain my Greek citizenship, and I am half Greek myself. With those things in mind, what complications should I expect, if any?
Adoption, cases of adoption, and we have quite a few, they fall under the category of more complicated case. They require more paperwork. They do require a case-by-case examination, and in a lot of cases, the process does not only take place at the consulate, but also with the competent Ministry of Interior in Athens. Yes, a lot of documents are needed in regards to adoption cases. These are some sensitive cases and difficult cases that are examined on a case-by-case.
What is an affirming? How do I get an affirming? And does that expedite if I have it?
The affirmee, that's a very common misunderstanding. The affirmee is αριθμός φορολογικού μητρώου. That does not mean that the person who has it has citizenship. All the people who own property in Greece or who are working in Greece, for Greece, they have businesses in Greece, they have any sort of financial interactions with Greece, they are obliged to issue an affirmee. This is a completely separate process. This does not affect in any way your citizenship. You can be a Greek citizen without an affirmee. You can have an affirmee without being citizen. These are two separate things. The affirmee is issued in Greece. What you can do is visit the consulate and authorize a person who in Greece who can visit the competent authorities and issue your affirmee on your behalf.
And tax consequences for if you pay your
If you pay the taxes as first of all, everyone, regardless of his or her nationality, can own property in Greece, can do business in Greece. You don't have to be Greek to own property. There are very few exceptions, but I don't want to go into so much detail. But, of course, you fall under a different taxation category. I, as a Greek citizen, I have a different I fall under a different tax system than a person, a US citizen, or a Chinese citizen, or an Italian citizen.
Actually, this is somebody else has the same issue.
Can't see anything.
What if your father is deceased but was Greek Albanian?
Mm-hmm.
And somebody else has that same situation back there.
Thank you very much. This is a great question. This is actually the field that I'm working on. This is the naturalization cases. In that case, there is a lack of documents. If people come from the minority, from the Greek minority of Albania, of Turkey, if they were born in the Dodecanese while they were under the Italian rule, they lack documents because they were not Greek citizens technically. But there's a process for that too. And in that case, there is a lot of homework for the applicant because we have to find a way to prove the Greek nationality of the applicant. I recently have two cases that were approved. The one was a Greek citizen who was born in Istanbul, and the only thing he had was his baptismal certificate from the Ecumenical Patriarchate. So this was not enough, but still, in case of these cases are more sensitive, they require more time to be processed. And I would also like to convey to you that the very famous writer, the Pulitzer Prize, Jeffrey Evgenidis, fell under this category because his grandparents were born and raised in Asia Minor. So he was of Greek nationality and not of Greek citizenship. He himself gathered all the documents and he took care of his application, he visited the consulate, and he submitted his naturalization certificate. These cases, yes, they're more complicated. When there's lack of documents, there's more effort, but that is our role, is to guide you, to see what our alternatives are, to see what we can do to bridge the gaps, and to maximize your chances to have your citizenship case approved. And from our record, today we received 10 decisions from Greece for citizenship application. I can say with satisfaction that approximately 90% of the cases, they are approved.
My mother was born in Greece and came to the United States when she was an adolescent. If I want to obtain dual citizenship, what's the typical timeline?
It
How fast do you get your paperwork?
It depends. It depends on the case. If it's a birth registration, I have seen a registration happening on Tuesday, and on Wednesday the person was a Greek citizen. For the case of that gentleman from Constantinople, it took him around 6 months. We have cases that have taken longer, but the time has diminished during the past years. And that is why we're here, and that is why we want to convey a message that the things have changed. The processes are simpler now, they're faster, they're digitalized. Thank God for COVID for Greece, because it sped up a lot of developments and a lot of very much needed digitalization of the famous Greek bureaucracy. But I can safely tell you that the processes are quicker than you think.
Once I become a Greek citizen, can I receive my mother's, I think it's Social Security. I'm assuming this is, you mean the Ethnicity that she may be entitled to in Greece from the 1950s. Nice try. Yeah, is she alive? Is she deceased? Yeah. Okay.
That wasn't always the complaint.
Right. That was her complaint. Κυρία Τασιοπούλου, η απάντησή σας, σας παρακαλώ.
Okay. In that case, you will have to, if your mother is deceased, in some cases their kids are entitled to receive their pension, in some cases not. We don't have the competence at the consulates to look into the issue and to guide you further. The applicant has to directly contact the insurance institution based on every specific case to see what they request or what the exact situation the case is about. The insuring institution, so will it be ICA or OGA or EFCA, so the institution that is issuing the pension for this person. But in most of the time, if someone is deceased, he or she does no longer have the right to receive pension.
You may have forfeited.
Okay, this is a name change issue again, which it is extremely common. When most Greeks came into Palos Island many years ago, in the 40s and 50s, Poulos, P-O-U-L-O-S, or Yannis at the end of the name, literally means son of. And so when they came into Palos Island, they changed their names to Peterson, Johnson, from Stephanopoulos to Stevenson. And so it's very common that they don't have that Greek name anymore. So, if your last name was changed when you came to the United States, is there any special documentation that you require?
Yes, most commonly we require the naturalization certificate. On the back side, it usually says name changed by decree of court from Papadopoulos to Poulos. There's one thing why we don't want to give you a hard time. Everyone knows the changes. A lot of the time, people did not choose to change their names, and it was changed like that. But there is a problem here. The problem is that if that person has sons, then we have to continue registering them as Papadopoulos. And if these sons have sons on their own, at some point we have to make a correction. And we have to update the name of the dual citizen in Greece. And at some point the US citizen should say, listen to Greece, I changed my name. Please update it. Because we cannot go on and continue creating generations of dual citizens who have a different passport in Greece and a different passport in the United States. So it's not us being hard on you. You should also bear in mind that as the time passes, the authorities at the airports, they become stricter, and rightly so, and they want to see the same name on the American passport and the same name on the Greek passport. So if this person is Papadopoulos in Greece, I am not allowed to change it. It has to go through the court. I cannot just write Poulos. I am obliged to register the kids of Papadopoulos as Papadopoulos, the grandchildren of Papadopoulos as Papadopoulos, and that brings us to a point that we bring the citizen, before his responsibilities and tell him, listen, you have to submit this to the court in Greece. You have to update it once and forever, not only for you, but for your children and your grandchildren.
The most prevalent question we hear is, I don't know if my mother and father's marriage was registered. I don't know if my family tree exists. I don't know. Can the consulate find out for me?
Yes, and that brings me to a very, very important comment to all of you, and I really hope for your understanding, and I would like to thank Mrs. Sofou for very kindly mentioning that. I will give you an idea of the backstage of the consulate. We're 12 people. and we have 6 departments. Okay? So that's what I said previously. If you send an email for your citizenship, you will most probably receive an email from me. And replying to the emails and managing the citizenship department is not even my job description. So I have to tell you that when you send the email to the consulate, you will receive an automated reply that we have received your email and that we are processing the request and we are replying to the emails with the order that we received. So most probably you will not be receiving my reply on the same day or on the next day. But I'm sure, and we're very satisfied with the level of excellent cooperation we have with the citizens. We're very responsive. Most of the time we reply within a few working days during the same working week, and trust me, this doesn't happen without a lot of work from our side. We work beyond our schedule and we happily have other initiatives. We visit the states of our responsibility. Our next visit will be in Detroit and we will be actually providing consular services. So please reach out. Go back to your records tonight and I will be expecting your emails because I saw a lot of raised hands of people who want to become Greek, and you will be hearing from me very soon with giving you all the homework to gather all the documents.
Two final ones. One that was already answered, because this is something that's kind of personal to me as well. If I'm currently active military and work for the U.S. government and I have dual citizenship, I will be retiring from the military within 5 years.
You answered that.
That's a case by, it depends if you have access and you need access to classified documents. That's something that you should check with the military, if you don't mind me answering that. Because also, one of my issues is that I teach through the U.S. Department of Justice. So that's something that you have to check beforehand so that it doesn't affect your status, okay? Or your job, for that matter. And then lastly, I am first generation Greek and in the process of getting my Greek citizenship. That process has started. Do my children, who are second generation, have to wait until I receive my citizenship first, or can they start the process?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and thank you for that. Yes, everything should be recorded with the sequence they happen. That means a little bit of patience for the next generation, but it's very important that everything is duly registered in both countries. That both Greece and the United States are fully aware of the changes in this in every family.
So let's do questions from the audience, but please be mindful of those that we have already answered.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And also, in case you want to have a discussion with me after the presentation, I will be around and I have my business cards. So in case you want to raise your specific case, maybe it won't be so relevant for the group, and I will gladly see you after the session.
All right, some folks may want to leave.
So what if the information that was sent from the council here to the Demo in Greece, and the Demo says that it's not correct?
Which information?
So, I wanted to register my beginning fee. You sent the paper to the consulate. I came to the consulate, they did all the stamps, they sent it to the Demo in Greece and Kaidari. Kaidari said that they're not accepting the paperwork, that first thing is missing.
Can we discuss that after the session?
Yeah, that's specific. So in other words, you've been waiting for your getting to see the consulate?
Well, I
send an
dropped
email.
it.
Okay.
I dropped it because.
I'm just gonna make one comment. This consulate is different. I'm telling you, they are different. They are very responsive and they do the best that they can. They have limited resources, but they are so responsive. So if you have a specific issue, in other words, Yurkia could not answer that question unless she actually saw the document. She might be able to say, oh, I see where the error is, and correct it. But without that, she wouldn't be able to do that.
Okay, we got a question here.
My wife here is a Greek citizen. We're married in the Greek church. She changed her name for mine. The legal documents are all in my name. How does it affect the process of her becoming a Greek citizen and our children becoming a Greek citizen?
If she is a Greek citizen, that does not affect her status. she has to register your marriage, and then your children will follow, and your children will have your surname.
Well, there's
Is
no,
your marriage certificate in her married name or her maiden name? It's gotta be your maiden name, right? It doesn't become her married name until after you're married. If you have your marriage certificate will have your name and her name. That's what you need to register, correct?
Correct.
And that's the name the children.
And then your
will have.
children's birth certificates will have your names on there.
Yes.
You don't need, I don't think you're gonna need any name changes.
No.
Is that your question?
right, it just says because under the process.
Both my parents were born in Greece. They married here, they're both deceased. I have to register their death.
Their marriage, their death, the
Their
death.
marriage, their death. Then I have to register my birth.
In your
Then
case,
I have to register my marriage.
in your case, because your parents are deceased, you have to submit your citizenship application at our consulate.
What, say that again?
Because your parents are no longer living, it's not possible to open their Merida, their family tree after their death. So because they missed it while they were living, then they will know Merida of them created just for them where you will be added. That would have happened if they registered everything while they were living. Because now they're deceased, you will have to submit your citizenship application.
What if one of them is alive? I have the exact same scenario, except one of my parents is alive.
Is the person who is living a Greek citizen?
Yes.
Then
Hold on a second. So either one or both parents are deceased.
Correct.
They were both born in Greece.
Yes.
They were considered Greek citizens therefore. However, their marriage was never registered in Greece.
Correct.
Can they still register?
they will just register the marriage and death, and they will be deleted. And then the applicant, their offspring, will have to submit a citizenship application. That's the second process.
Right, so you have to get all that documentation and you submit to become a citizen instead of your parents submitting to become a
Yeah.
citizen. You just need all the documentation,
Right.
basically.
Birth certificates, marriage certificates, everywhere.
The marriage certificate, the death certificates, your birth certificates, and the problem usually is the names change. Okay, one more in the back.
Is it easier to go through you to get all the documentation for citizenship? Or in my brother's case, he found a company that would do all the research for like $4,000, which seems excessive to me, but also at the same time worth all the work that has to go into
Of
it.
course.
So which is easier, going through you?
This is totally up to the applicant. This depends on the volume of documents that he or she has in her disposal. And this is something that I cannot really answer because the consular fees for these consular processes, as I have described, are $11, $30. The naturalization application is $150. The same goes for the citizenship application. But I have to tell you that in some cases where there's a lot of difficulty in acquiring documents, when someone has actually to go to Greece or to find different ways to acquire the documents, there is a limit as to the assistance that we can provide. We can contact the municipality on your behalf. I stay at night and I call the municipalities. I send emails to the municipalities, and in a lot of cases I'm able to discover the documents. But in some cases, there is indeed a lack of documents and there is a need of guidance. So again, I don't have a general answer for all the cases.
But they need to be very careful.
Yeah,
in use that.
of course.
Yeah, can I say that? Can I just say that? And there are a lot of people out there, both here, in the United States and in Europe, that have created a niche market in that area. You have to be very, very careful that you find a reputable, either law firm or whoever, because otherwise, once you get stuck, that you have to be very, very careful with that. Because I know a lot of instances where people have thought they're dealing with someone who's getting that documentation for them in Greece, and then all of a sudden, there's nothing. So you have to be very, very careful.
We have a question here and then one over here.
How can we find out definitely if our parents registered in marriage in Greece and the birth of their children? Do we go to the village where they were born? Do we go to the town, the municipality?
You have to contact the municipality. A lot of the municipalities are very responsive through emails, or in case you have difficulties, you can provide us with the following information in an email, and we have an online system to look it up for you. What we need is the full name in Greek, the full date of birth, father's name, mother's name. This is the information we need to insert, and in order to retrieve the family status certificate of the Greek citizen.
So basically, if you have the information, you could call the consulate, give them the names, and if it's there, they can help you and they can find it for you so that you don't have to go to the Cordial. Right? Right?
But you don't have to physically go to the Cordial anymore.
No. I'll call the Cordial. To the
Website.
Everybody's gonna run to the red phone.
Or unless you want to, of course.
Hi, my nephew is very much interested in becoming a Greek citizen. And the only living Greek grandparent passed away. Okay, so there's nobody left.
Not a problem.
I have documentation from my mother. Now, would he have to go through me to get the what would be the process with him, because it's not continuous.
Yeah.
I can't remember if you answered that. I
Yeah.
know you said that it's something about the continuum.
That's the naturalization process for people who are receiving the Greek citizenship not through their parents but through their grandparents or great-grandparents even. What we need is basically a document that establishes the Greek citizenship of at least one of their ancestors, and then we pretty much need to say the story.
Hi, I just have a real quick question. I believe I have the documentation necessary, passport documents. Does the consulate require the original, or can we scan them to you?
We want to receive them first scanned, we review them, and as soon as the case is ready to proceed, we set your appointment where you have to bring the actual documents. Your birth certificate with the apostille will have to stay at the consulate for our records, and you will receive back your valid passport and your driver's license.
I was just curious about what qualifies as a birth certificate. I did go back to the Cordial this summer, and I went to the offices, and they pulled out ancient books where they list people's names. Interestingly enough, in the Cordial and Palos, until 1924, they only listed men. So, very curious that I can only find part of my family. But is that what qualifies as what you're calling a birth certificate?
I don't have a general answer for that. I have to examine the document and tell you if that qualifies. But what we do, and what the Ministry of Interior does when they examine your cases, is that they actually go back to the village or to the municipality. So when they receive your application, they verify that. So what we do in preparation for your application is that we send to the municipality to make sure, to see what records are there and what there are not.
Can you give the website, and does the website for the consulate have some of the forms that you were talking about today, like the power of attorney, some of those forms?
They're not really forms to be filled in order to book your appointment, except from the power of attorney department. Yes, there is updated information on our website with regards to some departments, not for all. That's why we encourage the written communication. You can Google Consulate General of Greece in Chicago, and you will see our official website with our contact details and the general basic information about all the departments, and also a link where you can book your appointments in all departments but the registry department. In that case, you will have to go through me.
If there's an adult child and the adult child wants to become a Greek citizen, do the parents have to come to the consulate, or can the child?
Only the presence of the adult applicant with his valid passport is required. Well, and the parents are mostly welcome to the consulate, but we don't need them. Their presence is not required.
So in other words, the parents, who may not be Greek citizens, but the adult child wants to get their citizenship, the adult child can go as long as they have the documentation that they need from the parents.
Correct.
Okay.
And in case of minors, we require the presence of the Greek citizen parent. We don't require the presence of the minor.
So I'm already a citizen, and my husband's looking to get his citizenship, and also get for minor children their citizenship. Can I do that all at once, or do I need 3 separate events?
You need 3 separate appointments. and we encourage you to do everything in the sequence they happen. First, your husband becomes Greek, then you register your marriage as 2 Greek citizens, and then you will register your kids.
Okay, there is a new program in Greece that Georgia's going to talk about now, and that is what we commonly know as vote by mail.
Exactly. I'm here to convey great news. This very, very short presentation is addressed to Greek citizens only, Greek citizens who are already registered and do have the Greek citizenship. It might be considered very common here in the United States, but in Greece, it actually took us decades to get there. And there has been a lot of discussions, about it, about Greeks abroad voting, about Greeks abroad voting for postal vote. This is the first time in the history of Greece that Greek citizens who don't reside in Greece, they are able to vote through postal vote. And I would like to show you this brief timeline because it should not be taken for granted. For the first time in the previous elections, we had actually opened up a voting center in Greece. The law has changed after a lot of decades, and after the most recent election in Greece, the first law that passed gave free access to all registered Greek citizens to exercise their most democratic right, that of voting, that of exercising the right of voting in their elections and to determine the future of their country. And that's very, very important. In Greece, that was a major development, and we're very happy to convey this news to you. And this year, for the first time, that was the first law that passed after the most recent elections in Greece, and all the barriers are now are lifted, and all the apology, and that really is a very strong message from the Greek state towards the Greeks abroad. We value your voice, we value your input, and we want to encourage you to be part of this democratic celebration. In order to register, you just need to have to access this platform without any document, with just your Taxisnet codes for those of you who have them. Those of you who don't have them, with your valid passport and your valid Greek ID, or your valid passport and the name and the number of your family status certificate. And here you might want to use our assistance. You might want to reach out to the consulate in order to receive this number from us in case you don't have it. It's very important. I completed that for myself today, and you will be asked to provide a contact number. Doesn't matter if it's a US cell phone, doesn't matter if it's a cell phone abroad, you still receive the verification code. You're automatically registered. You will receive the ballot that looks like that at your home before the elections, and there are two different envelopes. The one that identifies you and has your personal details, and the one which is your ballot, which is secret. They're completely separate. Everything, the whole process is designed based on the minimum requirements for the safety and for the secrecy of the voting process set forth by the OSCE. So it's very safe, it's very transparent, and the secrecy of the vote is safeguarded. And also, because we receive that question quite often, if you register to receive your ballot at home and you find yourself in Greece, you travel in Greece around the time of the election, you still have the right to vote at the polling stations in Greece. The only thing that you should keep in mind is that there will be no polling stations abroad. There are a lot of people who don't think the European elections are very relevant to their lives. I'm here to tell you that this is wrong. A lot of decisions are now made in Europe, in Brussels, not only for us, but for the European Union. A lot of people, understandably, they don't know the processes of the EU, but trust me, they do affect their daily lives, they affect their education, our health system, agriculture, you name it, and all our financial interactions with the European Union. Ways you can visit the consulate and we can do the registration on your behalf. We had 2 citizens today. So please, all the registered citizens, I really hope to hear from you with regards to the voting, to the postal voting, because we want to have a stronger democracy, we want to have a more inclusive democracy, and we want all of the Greek citizens everywhere in the world to be part of this democratic process. And I hope I didn't tire you too much. Thank you very much for your time.